I'm the Community Action Plan Coordinator, so I'm leading on Brent's Black Community Action Plan. And today we're joined by Elsa. She'll introduce herself shortly and go through the agenda. And we're just really happy to have you here. And it's going to be a really interactive session, and you'll get a lot out of these sessions moving forward. So just be a part of our journey and come along with us on this journey. So over to you, Elsa.
Thanks very much, Shay, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's event titled Engage with Procurement. Just to let everyone know that we are recording this session this evening, and I know Nels has already mentioned it, but if I can mention it again, may I ask you to kindly remain on mute throughout the event to allow our speakers to be heard. You will get the opportunity to have questions and answers because we'll have a panel towards the end. Okay, so we're going to have a special session on where Rajesh Shori, the head of procurement from Brent Council, will share information from a buyer's perspective. And the reason why we're holding these webinars and these one-to-ones is to ensure that you understand and meet the standards, assisting you to be familiar with the selection criteria that's used on a local level that will help you to understand the processes and also overcoming some of the challenges. Now, one of the main areas, and it'll be more evident when you're actually ready to write the bids, is the language used when talking about supply chain and logistics, also highlighting the social value and, more important, the environment and long-term sustainability. We need to take into account the financial aspects and how much is realistically required when embarking on such a journey. So this evening, we'll also share a successful case study by Karen Eno, who is based in the borough of Brent. She'll be able to give you more confidence in the way that she's managed to run her business and also how it's managed to, she's managed to gain the benefits. As I say, Karen will share her journey of how she started a business, and you'll learn quite a lot just by hearing her story. Okay, let me just talk a bit about myself and Brandwin. Brent Council engage both Brandwin Business Support Services, of which Nelsa is the Managing Director, and I'm one of the business advisors. I have over 30 years working with small businesses, but the programme, which I think is more important, it is quite timely. Okay, it's to enable and strengthen the community leadership through building capacity, support the Black community through a programme to strengthen procurement opportunities, and provide support for employment and enterprise. Now, if you get involved in this programme as a business, we at Brandwin will assist you to adapt and innovate business models to suit the needs of your business. We've delved into and researched the best ways to communicate the changes and how we currently conduct business. We'll assist you as business owners to change your approach when submitting bids. We've encouraged businesses to adapt a more compelling approach in the way they do business, and that's whether it's online or face-to-face. It's about helping you. It's about helping you to stand out from the crowd. Having a more positive yet confident approach is what's needed. So we will share good practices via the webinars in the coming months, leading all the way up into June. So now we have the opportunity to hear from one of our 3 distinguished individuals who will share what's important when growing your business within the Borough of Brent. So it's my pleasure to welcome our first speaker, Rajesh Shori, Head of Procurement of Brent Council. Over to you, Rajesh.
Thanks, Elsa. So hopefully you can all hear me okay. So what I wanted to do was to take you through an overview about what we as a procurement team are trying to do on behalf of Brent Council, and more importantly, how we can use the spending power that's Brent has, and how we can contribute to the community at large across Brent. So that would mean not only the voluntary sector and vulnerable people, but also the local businesses. As many people that we can help, support and influence and be part of our journey is what we're trying to do here as part of the procurement team. So I wanted to take you through the procurement strategy. So if I can help, if I can try and share this, but every time I press the share screen, it says that I've been disabled.
Okay,
So
hold on a second, Rajesh. I'll just sort you out. So I'm going to make you the host now, so you can share the screen. And one more point, please, Rajesh, if you can speak up a little bit louder. Many thanks, or turn your mic up a bit. Okay, so here you go. So I'm going to change the host over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. I've been told by my team that that they can sometimes they can't hear me properly, and that's because this laptop is a strange one. So sometimes I've got to go really close to the screen. So apologies, I don't want to scare you, but hopefully you'll be able to hear me if I move a little bit closer. So hopefully you can see this. So this is the procurement strategy. When I was putting this together, I was looking at Brent's priorities. So what the council were trying to do for the community as a whole. And I wanted to align the procurement strategy to Brent's council's priorities. So they're making more pertinent. So what I did was I identified 5 key areas. And the 5 key areas are active procurement. I'll go back from 5 to 1. Active procurement, so that's the foundation. So as a procurement department, what we need to be doing, and I'll go through some of the detail behind that. Social value and ethical procurement, to make sure that everything that we do through our procurements, we're adding something back into the community, and the way we're also engaging with our supplier base, and the way that they're engaging with their own suppliers is done in the right way and in the same principles as the way that Brent are working with their own workforce. And then circular economy. It's all about understanding more about reducing the waste. Whatever's been created, everything has some type of waste product rates when we are procuring some type of services. And we need to try and reduce that and take that waste and put it back into the supply chain, so that we can continue with the circular economy, and that in itself might create opportunities, some of those that might be within Brent. And then that leads on to sustainability. They're both quite similar, but I would say circular economy is sustainability plus, really. And then the utopia bit, where all of this feeds in, would be the community wealth building. So community wealth building is all about trying to ensure that every pound that Brent spends, as much of it as possible, can remain within the community, and that we can encourage the community itself to then use those resources, use those opportunities, and invest in itself and in the community, and it should just evolve. And that's the main aim of community wealth building. So I'm just going to go through, I know I've only got 20 minutes, I'm just going to go through each of these topics in a little bit more detail. And this strategy is on our website and on our external website, so you can read it at your leisure. So I'll start with the community aspect first. So as I was saying, it's really about trying to engage with the anchor institutions. So we have Brent Council, we have the NHS, we've got the hospitals, the police forces, the fire brigades, we've got Wembley Stadium, we've got big private sector firms in Wembley who are anchored in Brent. So we need to ensure, and they're all spending money, they're all procuring services of some sort. So we need to try and work together with all these other anchor institutions and understand how we can leverage our spend and then use those opportunities to see, well, what can the local community help support us on? How can they share in the opportunities that we're trying to realize? So when we do procure, can the community help deliver some of those services? So that's about, and we want to try and lead the way there. And that's why we're doing these programs of work as well with the Black businesses, the local businesses, the voluntary sector, to understand how more we can work together. Sustainability, this is really important. As you're aware, the green agenda is becoming even more and more prominent across the world. And each area, each borough, each part of the UK has their role to play And Brent, is at the forefront of trying to ensure that they're leading their way in trying to commute and trying to contribute, as I'm trying to say, to a better environment for the community. So, we can have healthier individuals living within the community, and it's a nice place to live. And so ensure that through our procurements that we're working with suppliers who are like-minded, and that they also support us. So what we've done is create a procurement sustainability policy that suppliers have to adhere to. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the making it happen part. So the first of these 3 pages, this gives a high-level overview about what this is about, what we're trying to do. As I've said with the circular economy previously, it's about reducing waste, moving away from creating the waste and then putting it into some type of landfill or shipping it away somewhere. We're trying to understand, well, that is the waste that's been created. How can we now utilize it and recycle it and put it back? So some examples would be, we have street lighting, for example. The bulbs that go into them, once they are, they last for a particular period of time. Once they need to be replaced, instead of throwing them away, take them, put them back, this goes back to the supplier. The supplier then recycles that and then makes new bulbs and puts them back in. That could be one example. And there's a variety of things that we're engaging with the supplier when we're building things. Once they're built, they might be there for 20, 30 years or even longer, but we need to ensure that if it ever does get replaced, that the materials themselves are recyclable and that there's less waste that's created from the rebuilding of those buildings that were built initially. So those are a couple of examples. And it's really about engaging with you as well in the community. There might be lots of entrepreneurs out there who might be thinking about ways about, well, how can they support the recycling agenda? How can they work with the larger suppliers? So that might be something that we want to try and nurture and understand if people are interested in helping support that. And then we have social value. Social value is all about the extra bit that's added. So when we procure contracts, we procure services. So a simple thing would be, if we were going to be procuring a contractor to build affordable housing, which is part of the council's priorities. While they're there, what else can they be doing for the community? So if there was some landscaping that needed to be done and some green areas that were landscaped outside of the contract. So we were paying for the affordable housing, but this is an additional benefit that we're looking to create. And that in itself might help the community improve some people's mental health because they can go to a green space and sit and enjoy the green areas. So that's something that we're looking to do, is the extra bit that's added as part of the procurement, and it's part and parcel of all. There's a separate policy which I've written which goes into a lot more detail on that. And then this active procurement, which is the one of the final pillars, where this is our day job. This is what we're trying to do to help inform all the other pillars. So we need to ensure that we're communicating with the members, telling them what we're doing. We need to continuously be engaging with our stakeholders, externally and internally, to make sure we're clear about, are we making sure that all the opportunities that we know that people are interested, that we're capturing that. How can we influence that? Or if the messaging is that that's something that we can't do, but we can maybe connect you with somebody else, that might be something that we could do. So we need to understand, we need to make sure we're continuously communicating with as many people as possible and sharing the strategy and informing people. We need to ensure ourselves as a team are developed accordingly and are trained. We need to ensure that all our contracts are in place. And we're monitoring those, and that the money that we're spending them and the outcomes that we're looking to receive from them are actually being delivered. We also need to be analysing our spend and ensuring and seeing how we're spending our money. And I did an annual procurement strategy report recently that's been published, went to Cabinet. And that shows, and that breaks down all of our spend, our £450 million worth of spend across third parties. And it also shows the amount of local spend we have. So some of you might be surprised or not, but we spend about £55 million within the community. And when you break that out, most of that is across healthcare providers. But there's still opportunities, but that's still a significant amount, almost like 11–12% of the overall spend. But we want to try and encourage that and grow that. And we want to make it happen, which goes back to my point. So on the making it happen, just let me know if I'm running out of time. But on the making it happen bit, this is the 5 pillars. Again in that circle, and they all lead on one from the other, and they're not in isolation. We need to be aware of all of these inputs that are happening. So the borough plan, like I said, the strategy aligns to, obviously, the Black Lives Matter aspects that need to be supported and encouraged and developed, and all the other aspects that form part of the procurement strategy. All these feed in to our intelligence about making this happen. So look, what have we been doing? So I'll just quickly tell you what we've been doing. I'll just make this slightly larger. Looks like I've made it too large, so let's go back to where it was before. So on the community wealth building, we needed to understand what our local supplier base was. That was the target in January 21, and we do that. I've just given you a brief overview about spend analysis we've done, types of suppliers, and now we need to do more. We need to start looking at where those suppliers are situated. The specific level of intelligence we need is that what brought we. So if I step back a bit, we know what we know, which means that if a supplier engages with us, we capture some intelligence. But there are 15,000 suppliers in Brent, and we may be only engaging with 3,000 of them. And so there's a vast majority of suppliers that we don't know about and what they can do. So it's really about, how can we reach out to more of the suppliers and get more intelligence so that we can be better informed. So we've started that ball rolling. We need to understand then what the local opportunities are. So what I've done is I've said to the team that every year we need to produce a PIN notice. So that's a notice where we as a procurement team will be involved. We'll go out to tender, or may go out to tender. So every April we'll send out a list of possible procurements that would be happening over the financial year, and then we. I'm just trying to read what I've written here. It's blurred. And then also about the other suppliers. So we've also set up a pro forma on our website for suppliers to let us know who they are. So we've had a couple of events with employment skills and enterprise with the local supplier base, and we've informed them that there is this form on there, and you just register your details, tell us who you are, tell us the makeup of your business, and then we would log that. And then there's lots of procurements that we do that we wouldn't personally get involved with, but the directorates would, and they're quite low value, up to maybe £20–25,000, relatively speaking. And with those ones, there's more freedoms involved where the stakeholders can deal directly with suppliers. So if they were looking for, say, for example, we were refitting out the civic centre, and we needed some carpet firms. If a supplier had registered, they could have access to the stakeholder could look at that list and say, well, there's a carpet firm here in Brent, we could use them or get a quote from them. So those are the type of examples that that we're looking to try and create. And it's really about bridging that gap between what's out there, what the suppliers can do, and what the council needs. And understanding what opportunities then can be fed through to those suppliers where it's possible. The other aspect is that we could work with the larger firms. So some of these contracts, they're multi-million-pound contracts, and a smaller supplier may not be suited to take those on because of the infrastructure. They may not have enough resources, the staffing, the systems involved to actually support that multi-million-pound contract, but they may be able to do some of it. And that's where we were trying to ensure that for our procurements, we understand from the larger suppliers that how much money will they spend within the local community, who will they engage with the local community. But they also need us to help them, as well as they themselves helping themselves to look at what's out there. But we can do so much, and I think the more intelligence we get about the supplier base, the better it is. So I'll quickly just go through the rest because I'm sure I'm running out of time.
Rajesh, can I say you're not running out of time? Please take your time, because it's more important that we get all the information this evening. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll be another hour and a half then. so I'll be about another 5-10 minutes. So that was so in that case, I'll just slow down a little bit. So that's the circle, and in here, when you do get a chance, or if you do get a chance to read it, it does take you through all the steps, and I think that we're making good traction. Ultimately, it'd be great for us to try and work with some anchor organizations, and I've set myself, I've set the team a target for October. And in fact, we've already just recently done some work with the NHS on a collaboration procurement near one of the Northwick Park hospitals. So it's happening, and the word is getting out there. And then we've got sustainability. So the main thing here was that Brent never had a procurement sustainability policy previously. And so the target was set to start working on it, because this procurement strategy was agreed in October 2020. So by December, we said we'll start creating the policy. That was done. The policy was put together. So the sustainability policy says that anything that has an impact on our sustainability will need to have a specific KPI that's addressed to it. A majority of the things that we procure as a council will have a sustainability impact. So when we go out to procure, the stakeholder knows that they have to specify a specific sustainability KPI that they want the supplier to adhere to. And so we've done the policy. We've got it approved, and it's gone live. So from April 21, in all our procurement tender documents, we've got our procurement sustainability policy built in, and these are all the details. And the main thing about that is the KPI for the sustainability is to reduce waste through recycling. And one of the things that we could be looking at is that's how suppliers are geared up themselves. And there's an equality rating, environmental rating. And if they're up to that particular standard, I know some of this for local suppliers might be a bit more difficult, so we're conscious of that, but it's all equivalent. But it's important for you to understand that this is also what we're looking for through our procurements, especially the high level ones. In the circular economy, in the making it happen piece, everything has a KPI. So everything has a KPI. I was just going to go back to the previous pillars, but I'll leave it in case So we've got here, the KPI here is to reduce the use of our natural resources by purchasing goods and services using recycled materials. And there's specific indicators here saying that, the percentage of business that's operating within the circular economy, the percentage of goods and services used in supply chain that are recycled. So it has various indicators in there. This piece is slightly more difficult, and it needs a bit more work. Of all the pillars, the circular economy is the one that we need to just focus on a little bit more over the next year or two. I think we need to build on our sustainability. We need to work more on understanding when we do our procurements about that recycling aspect of it, and seeing is there opportunities either with the local supplier base or through the national suppliers working with the local supplier base. That's something that's quite important for us all. And then make sure I haven't missed anything. Then the social value. that policy, the separate policy, again, it's on the website. It's quite a detailed policy which I put together. But that went live in April 2020. So that's been almost now 2 years. So it's quite well bedded into our procurements. And a lot of people have some sometimes understanding issues with regards to what we actually mean by social value. And the way that I try and explain it is that when we're procuring a service, the social value, if it was extracted and if it wasn't provided, the contract could still work, because the social value is not required for the contract to work. If a stakeholder is trying to put the social value in as part of a way to save some money, that's not what I'm about. That's not what that's about. What this is about is about what extra can the supplier who's working with Brent put over and above the services that they're providing. So I gave you a particular example about landscaping before. I'll give another contractor example where if they were working on schools and they're doing a roofing repair on a school, is there something that they can do within the school? Can they provide some playground equipment? Can they provide some some benches for people to sit on? Nothing to do with the roof, but it's over and above, and it adds something back as part of that relationship, and that's the added value. And we could also look at working with businesses. If businesses feel that oh, it would be great to get some advice about how we can financially do X, or if we had some facilities to put some training on or something, you can feed that in to your contacts, and that might feed up into some of the social value, because in the policy we're trying to align what we can do, and one of them is about improving opportunities for the community. So there is the normal social value stuff that you look at, which is apprenticeships. We could look at that. We could look at work experiences. We could look at training, CV writing. We've got the social value that supports the green agenda, so the tree planting, making sure we have less emissions from all the people that are working within Brent, more electric vehicles, cycle lanes. So all the 5 priorities has various aspects of social value that you can support on. And I'll just tell you a little bit about the policy. So the policy allows the stakeholder to choose what they think is important as part of the service that they're procuring as the added benefit. So they can choose, and I've said to them they need to choose at least 3. And then when that goes out, the supplier will review that, and then they'll put in their how they're going to deliver it, what the benefit will be to the community, and how they will measure it. So and that's what it's marked on. And social value, I don't want to get too much into the detail, but we can do later on if it needs to be. But when we score things a particular way. So if we take 100%, for example, we might put a particular weighting on pricing, and we might say, okay, we think that the supplier delivering the quality of this service is so much more important than the price. So we might put more weight on the quality. So we may say 40% price and 50% on the quality of the services. And then the social value will always be 10%, always. So that's the minimum that it will be. So 10% of the procurement will also evaluate the social value, the added value bit over and above the contract. So just to let you know that is quite a considerable weighting. So it is important for you to get a good understanding of it. And there's quite a lot of information, as I said, a separate policy completely written on that. Sorry, I moved on there. So, and then we got to the active procurement bit, and all of that I put the team when I put the team together when I first joined. So all of this we were doing back then. So we've been communicating, we've been learning, we've been doing our contract management. We've got a contract register in place now. It's taken some while to pull it all together, so we know when our major contracts are coming to an end, when we need to re-procure it, and also we can then look at when we are looking to re-procure. how best we do that and how best we can help support the community, and also about how we're spending our money, and that's really important. And then all of this will really lead to making it happen. So hopefully I've sort of highlighted the journey that that we are doing here at Brent with regards to the procurement strategy and how we're trying to support the members deliver for Brent as a whole from a procurement perspective, and how all those pillars feed in. So that's me.
Sorry, thanks very much, Rajesh. I know you just kind of went quiet towards the end. Yeah, I just want to thank you very much for a very clear presentation, and also for sharing the 5 pillars that the council is actually focusing on, and more, more than anything, the strategy. Okay, and I'm really pleased that you're quite open to allow the businesses to have access to the opportunities, and as you mentioned, the training, etc. But one thing I like what you said was we're here to make it happen. So that's a positive way forward. So I'll just say to everybody that's actually on the webinar, if you're interested in getting involved, please put your contact details in the chat along with the business sector that you represent. Rajesh, please don't run away, because we're going to have a Q&A session just after our next speaker. Thank you. And our next speaker is Karen Eno. She's a director of Change Social Care Solution Services Limited. Okay, so I'm not going to steal her thunder in any way, but I'm going to allow Karen now to take centre stage. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll hear from Karen. Over to you, Karen.
Okay, evening everyone. Thanks also for that introduction.
Just a minute, please. Rajesh, can you stop sharing your screen, please? Thank you. And Karen, do you have a screen to share?
No, I don't. You just have to look at me, I'm afraid.
All yours.
Okay, thank you. Evening everyone. Thanks again, Elsa, for the introduction, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about my business and my journey. I'm Karen Eno. I'm a qualified social worker with 22 years experience, 4 years of which I was a team manager, managing the physical disability and drugs and alcohol team within the local authority before I set up my business within the health and social care sector. I'm now a director of Change Social Care Solutions, which is a domiciliary care agency in Brent. We provide support to individuals from the age of 16 with different support needs. For example, people who have physical or mental illness, health problems, dementia, people who are frail, or people who are just isolated and lonely. We work with everybody, anybody that requires support, or anybody that needs some form of services to enable to live a fulfilled life in the community. We provide people with personal care, shopping, domestic support, companionship, escorting them to and from appointments and many other activities. Although my business has been set up for 5 years, 2 of those years have been in the pandemic. I have 15 staff and we're classed as a small business. It has taken me a long while to establish the company in the community as a Black businesswoman. I've had to do quite a lot to get to where I am. I had to go out there and pound the streets, knock on doors, drop off leaflets in individual people's homes, shops. And, I've had to go on radio stations to talk about my services. It's really a hard thing to actually set up your own business. And it takes a while for you to be established. And it's hard to promote your business in order to get customers and staff. And it's also been really hard to get contracts in the local authorities and NHS because, you know, you were talking about contracts. They only happen now and then. It's not something that you can actually just go to Brent, for example, and say, hi, I've got a service. You actually have to bid, and sometimes it's very difficult. So I'm hoping that today, you know, from this bidding, that we were able to be supported to get contracts and stuff. I must say, in the last 2 years, it's been extremely difficult due to COVID's restriction. It's changed everybody's ways of life. It affected my business, having to deal with the challenges of staff, sickness, the restriction, testing, implementing different PPE, etc. And just the fact that we had to safeguard ourselves, our staff, and the customers that we're working with. It's had real impact on some of the customers that we're looking after. You know, some customers passed away, some people's needs deteriorated where they became more needy. And it also had a toll on my staff. And this was really, really challenging. Also, in regards to recruiting, everything changed. I was no longer able to continue to promote my business face-to-face. Recruitment became problematic. As everybody is aware, there's a national crisis for recruiting carers. It was impossible to promote my services because most of the companies, their doors were closed to the public, or they operated an appointment system. Things changed a lot. Our behavior changed, people's behavior changed, business changed. And as I said, this had a really adverse effect on my company financially as well. Therefore, I had to also change my mindset. I had to change the way that I recruited staff and customers. I had to take to social media, Twitter, Facebook, and WhatsApp, you know, to get people to notice the company, for people to come through, you know, new staff and new customers. At the moment, thank God, the company is stable. You know, we came through that. But I can be doing a little bit better. I still need to acquire some customers and more staff. When I enrolled on Brandwin's program last year, it was really helpful. This may sound a bit like cliche, but it came at the right time as well. I enrolled on the business support prep, and it helped me to focus on different strategies. It gave me some real good tools on how to work, how to grow my business, what to do, how to do it. One of the sessions that I used, or from one of the sessions that I used like a business canvas tool. This helped me to remodel, to look at my services and look at how to address challenges and to promote my service via social media. Look at different short-term and long-term goals to grow the business. I also had, you know, one-to-one session support, which was an additional tools. This enabled me to discuss and explore my ideas. It also helped me to look and plan to expand my business to incorporate specialist services for people with mental health, etc. One of the other things that I can say, although you may have a good business model, it's also important not to become too complacent. That's one thing COVID taught me. It doesn't matter. You just have to be, you know, really flexible and adapt. You have to continually just look at your business plan, update it, look at your finance. You have to do so many different things. You just have to be adaptable. You have to evaluate your company's position by looking at finance through cash flows and expenditure. You need to have a good team behind you that you can trust, who are like-minded as yourself to take your business forward. You have to be aware of all the government initiatives and implementations. You need to also be aware of your competitors and what they're doing. You need to use the social platform, media platform now, because everything now is on social media, and you need to be able to use that appropriately so that you can actually expand and grow. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you're going to be lost, because everybody is using technology now. Also, one of the things I need to say is that you need to also praise and acknowledge your staff at all times that's working for you, because I know for a fact my business probably wouldn't survive the last 2 years if it wasn't for my managers and the staff. They work so hard to support customers, and you need to remember that they are the frontline staff, so you always have to acknowledge them. For me, one of the other things about growing your business, you have to keep on thinking big, believe in yourself and believe in your team and your project. Have regular meetings with your staff regarding your visions, regarding your current situation. Keep them informed, value their input. Have regular meetings with your accountants and look at your business time. And also, I'd say, take your time. Use the resources that are around you. As Roger said, that there is services out in the community that can actually help you as well, which I've tapped in. They're good resources. Just one of the things I've just Raj talked about, procurement. I'm looking forward to tendering, because I know that will be a great source of regular income if I can actually tender, and if I can get a contract with the local authority, because that will help me to be more sustainable, as you talked about. And it also helped me to grow, and just ensuring that my staff have got continue work. You know, just one other thing, I'm looking forward to the bid, to be on the bid, the Fit to Bid program as well. Anyway, thank you very much for giving me this platform to talk. Thank you, Elsa.
Thanks. Thanks very much, Karen. Really appreciate your explanation of how to actually run, a realistic business. So we thank you for all that you've shared there, but also for all the hard work that you put in, especially in the short space of time. What I'd like to do before I bring in the third speaker is just to have a quick question and answer session. So Rajesh, if you could join us, I'd appreciate that. Just to ask everyone if they've got any questions. Has anybody got any questions that they'd like to pose to Rajesh at this time? Or to Karen as well, yeah.
I'm back.
Do we have any questions?
I've got a question.
Okay, sorry, who's that? So I can't. I need you.
Sorry, that was Lorna Hughes. I'm sitting here in my dark kitchen at the end of a long day. I did have a question, but actually one of the members has put a question in the chat, and I think that question is going to be much more interesting than my own question. And I think this is one for Rajesh. I'm going to pick on you, Rajesh, because we sit near each other in the office on the days that we go into the Civic Centre. So Rajesh, one for you. What opportunities are there for new starters? And that's from FEDEC.
So I suppose I could start with asking the question about what does FEDEC do, because that in itself might lead to maybe a more clearer response. But while we wait for FEDEC to respond on that, as I said initially, the council spends over 400 million pounds, 450 million pounds on across the supplier base. There's lots of procurements that are happening. The council's got quite an aggressive policy on building affordable homes for the community, because it's a main priority to try and house key workers, vulnerable people in good quality homes. So the council's really keen on ensuring that's happening. So there's lots of procurements to do with ensuring that those programs are well underway and building on the existing 500 plus that have been built. There's with regards to protecting the vulnerable, supporting the vulnerable, there's lots of opportunities. Adult social care is one of the biggest spend areas for the council. When you look at the spend on that, it's probably £100 million more than every other directorate. So lots of spend, and that shows what the council is doing with regards to trying to ensure that the vulnerable are supported most appropriately. We've just done a home care tender. There's lot 20 home care tender that's going to be coming out. So that was part of the original one, but we've decided to really work with the community to try and understand how we can explore and engage the community even more into those areas that need more support across a wide section of the community. So let me just elaborate a bit more on that. So the initial tender that went out, there was lead providers there was I think 12-13 zones across Brent, and we had lead providers 1 and 2 for each of the zones. So when an opportunity comes up, those lead providers will be offered that. If they can't support that, that will then go to the pool, which is that additional lot that's going to go out. I think from April it'll go out to bid for those opportunities. Obviously, in the climate we're at the moment, there isn't enough suppliers out there, or so there is options. So that is an opportunity that's coming up. And then it just goes back to what the person in the chat was saying. I'm not sure what business they do, but if it's something that I'm aware of, I can offer that up. But those are the two.
So Rajesh, Fadek replied saying he's a liaison officer for a semi-independent care home. And then we've had a subsequent comment from Halima, and Halima asked the question, how do care organisations apply for contracts?
Yeah, so with regards to with Fadek, obviously there's lots of work that's being done. Lorna, in your area, you're doing a lot of work with the community across, and there's lots of programs on advocacy and brokerage and things that are coming up. Whether there may be opportunities for local suppliers, that's something I'm sure that it's firmly on your radar. And working with us, we can look to see how we can explore that. With regards to gaining opportunities, it basically runs off a system. So I don't want people to switch off, because this is really important. So all our procurement opportunities are advertised through the portal. So to get hold of those opportunities, you need to register onto the portal. So I understand that could be a stumbling block for lots of suppliers. And we have done some training previously at one of those employment skills programs that we did. And I've created a step-by-step walkthrough for suppliers, and that's on our website. That shows you how to register. So you basically go onto our e-tendering portal is called Pro Contract. So you go on there, you register, put your email address on there, put your details, and then as you go through it, and this is the bit that's really important. When we do our analysis of spend, we segment that spend as a code. So just to simplify it, and I'll just make it. So if we had social care, it might be a code of 1, 2, 3. So when you go into, and you can select anything that you feel that is appropriate to your line of business. So if you saw the care code, when procurement then go out to tender, they'll put the code in. And if you're registered on the portal, you'll automatically receive a notification to say that this opportunity is there. Do you want to apply for it? Have a look at it. And the beauty of the pro contract system is that you can register not only for Brent, but every other council that's on there. So you can tick whichever councils you want. So I think that there's probably about 12 or 13 councils across London that are on pro contract. So you can see Brent on there, you can see Harrow on there, you can see the Central London authorities on there, but you can tick them all, and you have your category of spend that you're not spend that I've got spend on my mind, but you got your category classification of the what you do as a service. And every time a procurement goes out, they have to put the code in what they're procuring. You will get notified. So not only for Brent, but for everything. So that's how you do it. And we can do something. If people wish to have a session, then maybe we need to do something on that to help the suppliers.
So Rajesh, you know me, I'm going to take you up on that offer. Please come back and do a session with us, and you can walk us all through of being registered on pro contract. I think Shay is trying to find the link to put it in the chat so people can start to take a look at that step-by-step guide. But we will have Rajesh back. I'll need to look at the programme, the dates, and we'll have him back to do a step-by-step session with us. Rajesh mentioned some contracting that I myself am doing. I'm going out to tender for 3 contracts. They are quite specialist, but I'll share them with you for transparency. We are re-procuring the independent advice and guidance contract. We are re-procuring our voluntary sector infrastructure support contract. We are re-procuring our NHS complaints and advocacy service contract. So they are 3 contracts that will be going live very, very soon. In addition to those major formal tenders, we do some informal direct commissioning. Cover your ears, Rajesh, because you won't like this one. We do some direct awards where we have very local niche market, generally Black-led organisations to deliver some of the actions required to deliver the Black Community Action Plan. At the moment, we are seeking a provider to deliver a kind of training and development programme for young people and street markets. So if any of you on this call are market traders and you have got skill and experience that you can share with our young people, and you can put together an innovative programme to attract young people to test out business ideas in street markets, then we'd love to hear from you. Shay has got a defined brief, so we are following most of the rules, Rajesh. We've got a defined brief that we can share with you, that we ask you to send us a written response. If we need to, we can call you in for an interview, and then we go through our internal processes to make that direct award. So just to give you confidence, Rajesh, we are following the rules and getting Director of Finance sign off when we make those direct awards, and further sign off by our Strategic Director, well, our Assistant Chief Exec, Shazia Hussain. So there is a local opportunity for anybody interested in that package. In fact, Shay, you can email that, can't you?
Yeah, I can.
To everyone on this call.
Yeah.
Lovely. So after, perhaps tomorrow morning, Shay can share that brief with you as one example of a procurement opportunity that we are offering through the BCAP as the strategic group that this group falls out of. So any other questions for Rajesh from the group? Is there anything else? Oh, there's 2 comments in the chat. One, Shay has put the link into Pro Contractor. And Halima says, we're registered on Pro Contract, but need to know the code. So Halima, you might want to have perhaps a direct exchange with Shay tomorrow, and we can see what we can do to get you working on pro contract, more than happy to do that. So I must say that I did miss most of this call this evening. Apologies that I wasn't with you for the whole meeting. I was caught up finishing off another meeting and had a few emails to send out. So I missed most of tonight's conversation, but I guess it'd be great for me to hear from yourselves how things are going, if anybody's done anything differently since coming on board with the network, or if anyone's planning to do anything differently. I think everybody's been muted. Elsa, can you unmute everybody? Is that possible?
I have to ask Nauza to do that, I'm sure. Okay, it can be done.
Doing that now, no problem.
Brill, thanks Nauza.
Thanks, Lorna. I'll hand everything over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you. So has anybody done anything any different since coming along to the first network conversation that we had? Or is anybody planning to do anything differently? Come on, people, you know, Lorna doesn't like silence. I will pick on somebody. Okay, who am I going to pick on then to answer me? I'm going to pick on Leon Jones, simply because I like your name. Leon, good evening. Leon's still muted and I see a hand up. Just trying to find whose hand's up. That's Pat Fernandez. Pat.
Hi, am I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
Okay, that's fantastic. So my name's Pat Fernandez. I'm the head of financial inclusion for Advice for Renters. And I've been to lots and lots of meetings, and we talked about collaboration and partnership and working together, but we still haven't got a forum for that, really, a real forum for that, where people can communicate because of GDPR and all of the other restrictions regarding privacy and security. So I've just popped 2 links in the chat there, which, well, click on them and they'll tell you more about how we can facilitate that. So that's something that I would love to do. So I will hand back to you, Lorna.
Thank you, Pat, but I thought this was it. I thought this is the forum for that collaboration, that exchange, that talking, that sharing. I thought this was it.
Well, you know,
for our businesses.
I think Elsa requested that people put their details in the chat, and we haven't got that many.
Okay, so perhaps people aren't putting their details in the chat, but maybe they're prepared to speak to us. Leon, thanks for your messages, recognising you can't unmute and you'll talk to us for sure next time. That's great. But I do think there is something in talking and not just emailing, and let's get a bit personal and let's have an honest conversation. So the next person I'm going to pick on, just to keep the gender balance, I'm going to pick on Dawn Jarvis. You're on the call, Dawn. How's your business going, and are you planning to do anything any differently?
Hello everyone, my name's Dawn, and I've lived in Wembley for years and started my business a 1.5 years ago, actually, just at the start of lockdown. And I'm thinking about things, actually, because this is the first time I've heard of the Black Community Action Plan, and I found out about this through looking through my emails, actually. So I have engaged with some business things with Brent, but I didn't know much about it. So really happy that this is happening, really, you know, would like to collaborate with people, would like to make things happen. But it is the first time I'm hearing about it. So I think you'll have to forgive me, and maybe other people too, because it's sort of the first time. So I worked for the NHS for a long time, was a commissioner of health services, actually. So know a lot about procurement from the other side, because I was the procurer. But so would really, and it would be really beneficial to my business around contracts and sort of procuring stuff and sort of getting in there, making the connections and networks to be able to do those things. And my experience from other places and other networks I'm involved in is that people struggle because they don't know what to do. There's a lot of form filling in, and you know, even for little contracts, there's quite a lot of work that you have to do and be prepared to do. So I think advice and support around that would be really great. But you know, I'm all in and happy to take any resources or any support that's available.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dawn. I'm sorry you haven't heard about the Black Community Action Plan up till now, but that's great. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So we're in this for the long haul. We're just coming up to the end of our first year of delivering the BCAP, and we've got another 9 years to go. So we're in it for the long haul. So any time you arrive is the perfect time. One thing I would ask, Dawn, what is your business now?
I run a health and wellness consultancy. I'm a nurse, and so I do consultancy around diversity and inclusion, around health and wellness, around I work with executives and around how they can support their staff. I support Black staff networks, etc., etc. I've got a podcast and a YouTube channel, so I do lots of things actually. Yeah, it's sort of it's an enterprise, my business, and I do a lot of that little things. But the mission of the business is to support the health and well-being of communities from the African diaspora, and any way I can do that, I do that.
Brilliant. So Dawn, what I would say to you is, if you look to the chat, both Halima and Fadek are in health related industries, and I think there's conversations to be there about how they hook up into your podcasts, whether you offer a free podcast or a paid for service. I don't know. There might be room. Free at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, you might want to look at your business model. Is it sellable? But that's something else I can talk to you in a one-to-one. But I think there are other like-minded people on the call. There is one opportunity that I want to share with all of you, because you can all access this opportunity. The council runs a grant programme called NCIL. That's NCIL. It stands for Neighbourhood Community Infrastructure Levy. It comes from new development. So all the new buildings that have gone up in Wembley and other places, Kilburn, they pay a contribution to the council to make sure that the new population that they bring into the existing population of Brent does not cause harm, and that community carries on functioning. Part of that money is strategic and pays for big things like schools and doctor surgeries and hospitals and things like that. The other part of the money is spent on a neighbourhood level, so on a local level. In June, in June, probably the middle of June coming up, we're going to be having a series of local events in the 5 Brent Connects areas in the borough. So Brent as a borough, we've cut it into 5 chunks, and we call each chunk a Brent Connects area. There'll be 5 area-based grant rounds where each area has got £350,000 to allocate to local projects. Businesses can apply for a grant providing they are not investing in the business themselves. So you're not buying yourself new IT, you're not buying yourself new equipment, you are actually going to deliver a service for the wider community. You as a business can put forward your project idea. You then present your project idea to the local community at an event that we're currently arranging all the dates and venues, but you would present your project to say, hey, I'm Dawn, I do health and wellbeing, I want to do 25 sessions in the Kilburn community, my project is going to cost £40,000, please vote for me. And the community votes to select the projects that they want to see funded in that local area. So you can apply for up to £50,000 to deliver your project. In addition to a pot of money, the NCIL pot of money, which is worth £350,000, we've also got a £50,000 health pot for local projects. So as a business, you might say, actually, I want to do something for 5 weeks in a row, and it's going to cost £9,000. you can apply into that 50k pot, and it's over to the community to select and decide which project they want to fund. Now, we know that your business is premised on sustainability, self-sufficiency and income generation in the wider marketplace. And it is unusual for a business to obtain a grant, apart from like the government COVID type grants, but this grant is open to local businesses as well. So if anybody's got any questions about preparing for that grant round, I'm more than happy to perhaps next month do a more detailed session so that you all understand how to apply, when the events are going to be, where they're going to be, and the types of things that are going to be funded. I can see comments in the chat now. Anybody interested in applying for a grant, as well as, of course, building your business?
Hello, it's Dawn Jarvis again. Yeah, really interested in that, but I think I would love to hear some more parameters around that and around how it's being organised, and as you said, the timescales, when and what the what the objectives are and what people want to be delivered, so that you could make a meaningful application for that grant. Lots of ideas around that, but I think we need a bit more information.
The great thing about this grant is that normally when you apply for a grant, you have to fill in loads of forms, and it's people like me, officers of the council, that read your applications. Have you submitted this? Have you submitted that? Have you told us everything that we need to hear? Is your story fantastic? Do we believe in you? We become the judge. In this grant, the method that we're using to distribute the money, we are not the judge. The community is the judge. Therefore, there is no paperwork. The application form requires just your normal details, name, address, email, contact number, a brief description of your project, 250 words, and then you present your project to the community. So it irons out the lengthy kind of paperwork that we would normally go through when grant funding. And it's over to the community to buy into your project or not, and they vote for the ones that they want to see delivered in their local areas. And as I say, businesses are welcome to apply for that fund. It is an unusual fund, but businesses are allowed to do that. And the same with the health grant as well. So that's a nice localised opportunity that some of you may step forward to, and I hope you do. But I'll come back and I'll do a more detailed presentation on that in the future. So just to keep things moving, I'm going to pick on Eric Sterling. Eric, how's your business going? Eric's muted. Can you unmute Eric for me now, so please?
Yes, certainly. I think some people have asked to be unmuted. So Eric, you're going to have to unmute yourself, I think. It says
Okay.
you're asked to unmute. I've done that. It's up to Eric to unmute himself.
Okay, in which case, oh look, Henry John's got his hand up. Oh no, that's Pat again. Pat.
I can tell you, Lorna, who are unmuted at the moment. It's Denise and Henry John Baptiste.
Okay, so I'm going to pick on Henry John Baptiste. Henry, how's your business going? Have
Hello. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I didn't actually put my hand up, but hey, I don't mind talking. Thanks for this evening. I'm not sure if you remember the last time we spoke, I was telling you my business is in the startup phase, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've given a lot of thought into where I want to start with my business. And now I'm actually trying to map out how I'm going to grow the business itself.
Excellent. And have you booked in one-to-ones with Elsa?
No, because the last meeting we had, it was said that information was going to be sent to us. I've not received any information whatsoever. So all I've got to go on is from the last meeting that we had. There was nothing sent through to me. So I have no contact details of anybody, no emails, no telephone numbers, nothing.
Right. So whose risk shall I react to that then?
Okay, to clarify, we had a plan to contact everybody after this session. So Elsa is on the case. We just need to ensure that the 20 businesses are eligible for fit to bid. They are in the borough, and that's happening this week.
Okay, so Nowza, just to cut to the chase here, you're admitting and putting your hand out for me to slap your wrist, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay, so you can take the wrist slap from me on behalf of the council. I slap your wrist. Henry, I'm really sorry you haven't been contacted today, so I am sorry, I do apologise. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my direct email in the chat, at brent.gov.uk. You can talk to me directly on
Excellent.
that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
So I'll
it.
make sure that you get some follow-up and one-to-one bookings start to take place.
Okay. And
I'm glad you've been.
Sorry, I was going to just ask, has there been any development? Because I know the last time we spoke, you mentioned about the pod that was happening in the Civic Centre, you know, where new startup businesses can actually come and sit down and work. And
Yeah, that is absolutely happening. I don't know the timeline and the date of that, but I can bring my colleague Peter, who leads on that. I can bring him to the next network meeting to talk about that startup space that he's doing with Slenky. So Slenky is a local organisation, and they're working to deliver that with Peter. But there is another opportunity in terms of kind of hot desking space, if that's the type of space that you're looking for. Towards the end of the year, Picture Palace in Harlesden will have hot desking facilities.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
You're most welcome. And there's Elsa. She's come in for an admission of a wrist slap that she's going to be contacting all of you tomorrow. So you've all got my email address in the chat. If Elsa don't email you, email me. And I'll take it up with Elsa. You know I'm teasing you, Elsa, but I do mean it really, but I'm teasing. Doing it nicely.
No, that's fine. I mean, yeah, I'll be contacting everybody tomorrow. Thank you.
That's okay, brilliant, thank you. Well, Henry, I'm glad that you've started to really hone down and think about what your USP is and what your business offer is going to do. So I'm glad that you've taken that step forward, and Elsa will really help you to bring that business to life and make it happen.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. So Denise, you're the only other person that's unmuted. So I'm going to pick on you next and ask you, how's your business going? Have you had any further thoughts? Have you done anything differently? Are you planning to do anything any differently?
Hi, yes, it's Denise Forbes. I'm from Skill Care. We've been running our business for about 10 years, working with the London Borough of Brent for about 9 years. Got a very good working relationship with them. We went for the tender last year. We were unsuccessful, and we'd like to go again for it. We're in a better position this year. We've got through the pandemic. We have lots of projects within the business itself, all to do, we're a care provider, and this is kind of like branching out into our area of expertise, which is wellness and health as well. So I've just qualified as a clinical practitioner, but
oh, you've gone on mute, Denise.
Unmute. Is that better?
That's better. That's better.
Okay.
So you said that you qualified as a clinical practitioner.
Yes. So, but before that, I've worked in health for many years, for 30 plus years. And so between our team, we've got about 60 employees. We've got a wealth of experience that we hope we can put a few good community projects within the Borough of Brent to expand out into other areas. So not just as a care provider, but also for health and well-being as well.
So Denise, you said you went for the tender and you're going for it again. Which tender are you referring to?
This was for the home care tender, and to tell you the truth, I really didn't give it much consideration, and it wasn't put together very well because I have submitted tenders before and I've been successful, but not for home care. And so this was really useful with Brandywin coming in and offering the support of using the terminology that you're looking for. That was really, really useful. So I'm all in for kind of like taking part with the sessions as well, and just taking your advice on how to put the package together.
Excellent. Thank you, Denise. And well done for surviving your business locally for such a long time. So well done to you. And I wish you another 16 years in the borough, yeah, with your
Thank
business.
you. Thank you very much.
It's you know, we've got to celebrate the businesses that have survived through these last few years that have been really, really tough. So, you know, all power to you. Well done. So I'm going to talk to Mustafa Hassan, who's on the line. Mustafa, how's your business going? Have you done anything differently since joining this network? You're on mute as well, Mustafa. Nauza, can you unmute everybody, please?
Oh, no, I did, but a lot of them took their own sort of right and asked to be unmuted. So Mustafa, I've asked him to be unmuted, but he's not responding.
Okay, so on that basis, I can
the
see
ones who are there is Lynette Kamala who's unmuted, so you might want to speak. Thank you.
Okay, I was just about to turn to Lynette. Good evening, Lynette.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I'm new to this sort of forum, and I think it's fantastic. I run a company called Lincoln Art, and I've been running it since 2016. I've mainly focused on things outside of Brent, actually, and have now moved my business and registered back into Brent. So it's great to be able to focus on the needs of our borough, which I live in as well. And the kind of things we do is, I guess, enrich lives through festival culture. So we do events, residency and programs, and we take a therapeutic approach as well. So it's very much around wellness. And I mainly work with young people, so young adults, I guess, sort of 14 to the 25-year-old range. And we do things through music, art, performance, dance, movement, that sort of thing. So yeah, I guess what I'm hosting. Yeah.
So I do know a bit about your organisation, Lynette, and I guess I've always known your organisation from a kind of community cultural perspective. But thinking about what you do as a business, what are your kind of growth plans? What do you plan to grow and get bigger, and what sort of support can this network add to what your plans are?
Yeah. So I myself have done the first kind of leg training with regards to art therapy, and I'd actually like to complete that. It's an area which is severely underrepresented in terms of diversity, particularly Black therapists, particularly within the arts psychotherapy. And there's a desperate need for it with regards to young people. The waiting lists are horrendous. And I know just through the work that I do with young people, art is such a fantastic way to connect. They're expressing themselves in that way. So in terms of my growth, that's where I would ideally like to be. I'm based in the south of the borough as well, in Kilburn. And yeah, there's a need for that. I grew up in the borough in Brent, in Kilburn, and we used to have a lot of fantastic things that supported our well-being as young adults. And I just want to find a way to do that in a sustainable approach. And it won't be the youth club model because, you know, unfortunately that isn't sustainable. And we know of all the cuts there. So I'm looking at providing, as I say, hopefully a therapeutic practice, services for the young people.
Okay, so just in terms of actualising that and bringing that to life, Lynette, you would have heard Elsa and Nauza has put it in the chat about 30 businesses getting one-to-one support. So I think there's an opportunity for you to spend some time with Elsa, who can really help you define how you're going to grow and identify what your business needs to do to make it to the scale that you want it to be at.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. I would love to do that. And I said, for me, particularly to provide more sustainable kind of employment for the people I work with. As I said, they're not all young people, we're young adults, but the kind of nature of the business that I've been in, it tends to be contract based. So, you know, they're paid for a set time and it's not a kind of ongoing thing. So yeah, that would be great. And I would definitely like to sign up for that. So I'll look out for the email from Elsa. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be good, because you really need to move from the kind of consultancy to commission service provider, don't you? And that's the kind of world of procurement and contracting. So you're going to need to prepare for that, because lots of local authorities do commission that art therapy stuff. My experiences of Kensington and Chelsea was there was quite a large investment into trauma-informed practice post Grenfell. So I think it really will be worth you defining how you with Elsa's support.
I will do. Thank you, Lorna.
Brilliant. So there's somebody on the call called Hayley. Hayley, can you come off mute? Are you able to unmute yourself? No? Okay. Who else is unmuted? Everybody else is on mute.
Hi, it's Dawn Jarvis again. I just want to sorry to be talking all the time, but I just want to ask a question. So my business, I am based in Brent, and my business and employees work from my house, but my business is registered at my accountant's address, and I've got a service address with one of those companies. And I just wondered if that disqualified me from being a Brent-based business, because sometimes when you apply for things, when they see where the business is registered, they say, well, you don't live here, but I do. So I just wanted to ask a question about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting. Where's your accountant? Outside of London?
He's in Northampton. So there is a question about whether I do need to change where the registered address is of the business.
So our focus is always on Brent-based businesses, but when it comes to the big procurement contracts, and I'm sure Rajesh will be able to kind of underpin it with what the legislation says, but when it comes to procurement and contracting, we can't exclude businesses outside of the borough. Am I right, Rajesh?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But with regards to understanding the businesses that we do work with, when I was advising the group about the local businesses that we operate within Brent, the way that we use our data is we look at the postcodes that those businesses are registered in. So, so Dawn's business wouldn't be captured as part of a local business, even though she operates within Brent, from what I'm hearing. So that's something that's fallen through the gap.
So just on that,
could I just ask, is there anything that can be done about that? Or do I need to change? Because the reason I registered the business outside of, because I didn't want people knowing my address, basically, it was for safety reasons, and there's some personal reasons around that. But, you know, for business reasons, and it's not just with Brent, it's with other London-based boroughs as well, this has been a problem. So do I need to register it at my house?
I mean, if I could just come in for a minute, for the sake of this program, for the one-to-ones, if you can show us or else some evidence that you have some business based here, you've got some contacts or a few customers, then we can help you. For a Brent, a procurement, I hand it back to Rajesh.
So what I would say to you, Dawn, is that you've obviously got some clear-cut specific reasons for why you've got that configuration, but I would take it up in a one-to-one with Elsa, and she might help you to define who is my audience and what is the best thing for me to do in order to be attractive to my audience. So I don't think we're going to be able to answer you clear-cut tonight, Dawn, but certainly we will look to have one-to-one support that will be able to unpick and determine what's the best thing for you to do.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Super. So I can see those 30 places going rapidly. One of the things, Nomatemba's on the call. She'd like to be on the one-to-one contacts, because I know Nomatemba's got a great little business up and running. So you'll be a part of those one-to-one meetings. That's fine. Anybody else got anything to share on any recent activity, any new thoughts, any inspiration since we formed the network about a month ago? Hi, Nomatemba.
Can you hear me now?
There's a huge echo, but yes. You're on mute now, Nomatemba.
Right.
Oh dear.
Not working.
No, the sound is really not
I think
good.
we have a bad line there, so I put her.
Yeah, we've got poor connection, so do put your comments in the chat. I'm going to turn to Dwayne. Dwayne, are you able to unmute?
They can unmute themselves, but it's obviously they may not be at the screen right now. That could be an issue.
Okay, so I think going forward, unless there's background noise, I'm going to ask for these meetings to take place with people unmuted, just to encourage some dialogue and conversation, because the only way this network is really going to take off is if you share your question, because the thing that you're thinking about is probably something somebody else is thinking about. So any comment, any question is welcome. So please do share your thoughts, and then we can have a conversation that's going to benefit all of us from hearing your question or your comment answered. And as I said in the beginning, this network, the idea behind it is that in the end, it sustains itself and you guys become the network that looks after itself. So we've incepted it, and the thinking is that it's led by you, and we will put into it the things that you want out of it. So that's another reason to talk to us this evening, is to shape the future content. So with that in mind, I'm going to open up the floor. So Jammer's looking forward to more of these sessions. Brilliant. Do let us know, Jammer, the sorts of things you want us to address in the network, because the network has been formed specifically for Black businesses in Brent, and we want you guys to get the most out of it, and we will put into it to meet your needs. So tonight we've had a session on procurement. Elsa, do you want to tell us what we'll be looking at the next network meeting, please?
I was going to ask Nels if you'd allow me to share my screen, because I've got a good program, a list of programs coming up. So Nels, can I have to be able to share my screen? I've disabled it. Nels, can I share my screen, please? Okay, if not, I'll just talk it.
Sorry, it got into hang, it's hung now.
Yep. Oh no, not yet. If not, I'll have to talk it through. Okay. No, I can't do it. I'll just talk it through at the moment until we get it. Our next event is on, just double checking, March the 8th. And we have the introduction to writing, bid writing, introduction to bid writing, starting, getting to about the foundation. And then we have another one, improve your bid response. It's an advanced level, and that'll be on the 22nd of March. On the 12th of April, I will actually be delivering the business model canvas, and that's the business model canvas that Karen spoke about, how we're able to grow her business and also see everything all on one page. And I'll be taking through a more strategic and innovative approach, highlighting the key 9 components in this area. And then we meet again on May the 10th, where we look at the design and development products and services for procurement. Here we can ask the question, are you sure you have the right products and services for procurement? Okay, we then have the leadership and entrepreneurship in challenging times on the 24th of May, which brings everything together by giving you advice on sales, marketing, and leading your team to win more tenders. And then the last one, which will be delivered by Nauza, our managing director, is the circular economy and developing key partnerships. And that'll be delivered on the 7th of June. Oh, thanks. No, so you actually. Yeah, that's a program. We can also share that with you. So via email, I can share that with you from tomorrow.
Brilliant. Thanks, Elsa. Can I just unpick a little bit on the session on the 8th of March?
Yeah.
Isn't that International Women's Day?
It is.
Yay, right. So let's all wear green and purple for next month's session. On that session, Introduction to Bid Writing, are we going to use a live example of a live available tender?
Now, so do you want to answer that, because you know which advisor will be delivering that?
Okay. What we're doing here is the next a few sessions are skills of main sessions, helping people to understand how to write a tender, and the next one is how to improve your bid response, because cramming everything into one session will be a bit difficult. What we can do, Lorna, is to take up your idea, invite you back again on March the 8th after the bid skills is over, and we can open the floor and discuss. If we can get hold of a live tender from Rajesh, we should. If we can't, we will then talk about future opportunities. But I can talk to Rajesh in advance.
I just think it might be better if we learn with real context. So rather than learning without applying the learning, if that makes sense. So Rajesh, can you, apart from my contracts, can you give me any idea of what contract you've got open that we might use as an example to next month's session, Introduction to Bid Writing?
So Lorna, I completely get where you're coming from, but we won't be able to do that. So I need to let you know. Well, with regards to, so I think that what needs to be done really is about getting an example that highlights aspects of what we're looking for as part of maybe a question and answer, but we can't really be looking at real life examples because every business is different, and what we're not doing is, well, I think that this is one of the issues that sometimes that are created is that what the council is trying to do is understand the competencies of the suppliers, not and some of them are quite competent at writing bids, but really it's about their skills and how that comes across, and I don't want to set out examples that that we just need to ensure we're getting the essence of what a good response is, and that needs to be applied to the circumstances of that supplier. So without going into too much detail, hopefully that's cryptic enough. But I don't want us to be.
Okay, understood. I hear you. Understood. But as long as that bid writing is really in the context of those businesses, I think it's going to be a really good session on the 11th of March. I think we'll spend 2 minutes celebrating International Women's Day on the day. Can't let that pass, but let us have the session on Introduction to Bid Writing on the 8th. I can see one person who isn't muted, and that's Karen. So Karen, your turn for me to pick on you. Good evening, Karen. No, Karen's gone on mute again.
I'm here. I'm here.
You're
I'm here.
there.
I'm here.
Yay, good evening. Hi.
Evening.
Karen, any thoughts from your business since we launched the network last month?
I was the one that did a talk earlier on.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed you.
I know. The only thing that I've really done is really focusing on social media. That's what I'm really doing at the moment, because I did talk about the difficulties that I had throughout the, the difficulties that I had in the last 2 years in regards to recruitment. And now I'm just focusing really on a platform, social media and the platform, making sure that I can actually get customers that way, and also promoting my business a bit better. And I'm actually going to try and tender bid for some contracts in Brent, because that's something I also need to keep my business floating. Because most of them, because I'm a domiciliary care agency, and it became a bit stagnant throughout the pandemic. So because I've only got more or less private clients, so going forward, I'm looking forward to the bidding, really.
Yeah, so I think the bid writing session next month will be a good starting place to start to prepare for you to go for some of those contracts. So good for you for surviving.
Yeah, just.
So I'm not sure if we're over time. Are we over time, Shay? I've got Shay on the line with me.
We're a bit over time. We can end anytime you want. We're supposed to end at 7, but it just went on for a few minutes. No problem. We can end it anytime you want now.
Okay, thank you very much. That's typical me, youngest of the 11, always want to talk, as my dad would say to me. So apologies for going over time this evening. I do hope that next week we can have a space for a more fluid conversation from yourselves, because the programme that Elsa just outlined has been built because we know what skills and support businesses need, but at the same time, we have to keep it real as to what is going on in businesses locally. So we really do need to hear from you to make sure that this network is relevant and is responding to the needs of Black businesses locally. So on that note, I think I am going to draw the meeting to a close, or is that for you to do, Elsa? What was the plan?
Well, the plan is, I mean, Lorna, you can do, but I just like to say goodbye to everybody and also to say thank you. So I really want to say thanks to Rajesh for his input with regards to us understanding the strategies and the way that Brent Council would like us to tender for the contracts. Again, I'd also like to thank Karen for sharing her journey so far, and also sharing the fact that we, as Brandwin has helped her to get to where she is at the moment. Thank you, Lorna, for the input that you have is quite lively, and also bringing everyone together. And also for Shay, who I always say is the quiet one, but the quiet ones are the powerful ones. Shay, thanks very much for all your help and support. And of course, I've got to say thanks to Managing Director Nauza for actually helping.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Behind the back, behind the scenes with all the technology and everything else. But I think tonight wouldn't really happen without everybody that attended. So I really want to thank everybody that attended this evening, all the businesses who's taken time out of their busy week. And you know what it is like, time is money. So yeah, thanks very much. I'm going to connect with you tomorrow. So if I haven't got your email or your contact number, I will find you the way that I find businesses. So I'll be on the internet stalking you. So yeah.
Brilliant. As my mum would say, Elsa, make sure. So you've got my contact detail in the chat, so do talk to me as well. So have a great week.
Lovely.
Have a great business week. I hope it's profitable for you all, and we'll see you on the 8th of March. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.